Welcome back, everyone, to E-commerce Psychology, where well, you guessed it, we deep dive into the minds of online shoppers. Today, we're tackling something super interesting, anticipation marketing, and we're joined by an expert to help us unpack it all.
Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
So anticipation marketing, I mean, we've all felt it, right? That buzz you get waiting for like the newest phone to drop or, that limited edition, whatever it is you've been eyeing. That's the heart of what we're talking about today.
Exactly. And it's become a really powerful tool for businesses, turning that whole pre-launch period into like an experience in itself.
Okay, so we're going to be looking at an article today called "The Science of Anticipation" by Mohammed Tufekci from Growth Suite. And I guess before we jump into the nitty-gritty, maybe just paint a picture for our listeners. What exactly is anticipation marketing?
Sure. So at its core, it's about building excitement, building buzz, but before the product or service is even available, think movie trailers, right? They give you a taste, a glimpse of what's to come, but they leave you wanting more.
Oh yeah. Or like those early access deals you see everywhere now. It's like, oh, sign up NAW and be the first to get your hands on it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it taps into this deep-seated human desire for novelty, for something new and exciting.
Okay, so there's this like psychological pull going on, but let's get a little more scientific here. What's actually happening in our brains when we experience this anticipation?
Well, believe it or not, it's not just clever marketing tactics. It's actually hardwired into our biology. Our brain's reward system, specifically the dopamine pathways, they light up when we anticipate something pleasurable.
Dopamine, huh? So it's like a chemical reward for just wanting something.
Exactly. Imagine you score tickets to like a sold-out concert you've been dying to see. The anticipation, the planning, all of that, it's actually releasing dopamine. Sometimes even more so than the actual concert itself.
So you're saying the wanting, the anticipation phase, that can be like a dopamine rush all on its own. That's kind of wild.
It is. It's fascinating how our brains work, but it's not just about dopamine. There's also a cognitive side to anticipation.
Okay, break that down for us. What's happening on the thinking side of things?
Well, our brains, they really hate gaps in information. So when brands give us these little bits of information about a product, but not the whole picture, it triggers our curiosity. We start like mentally filling in the blanks, imagining how this new thing is going to fit into our lives.
Oh, I see. It's like our brains are creating these mini movies starring us with the product, and the brands or the directors keeping us hooked, wanting to see how it all unfolds.
That's a great analogy. And don't forget about FOMO, the fear of missing out. That plays a huge role too.
Oh yeah, FOMO.
Yeah.
It's everywhere these days. Limited time offers, exclusive drops, wait lists a mile long.
Right. Brands are masters at leveraging FOMO to create that sense of urgency, that feeling of, oh, if I don't get this NW, I'm going to miss out. And that makes us want it even more.
It's like that gotta catch 'em all mentality from Pokemon, but applied to products. So
Yeah.
so are we just like powerless against these tactics,
Yeah.
or can we learn to spot them to make more informed decisions as shoppers?
That's the beauty of understanding the psychology behind it all. Once you know the game, you can appreciate a well-executed campaign without feeling, manipulated. It's about recognizing the tactics while still, allowing yourself to get swept up in the excitement. Because let's face it, anticipation is a fun part of shopping.
Yeah, I totally agree. But let's get practical for a second.
Oh,
How can businesses, or even you listening right now, how can you actually harness this power of anticipation?
well, there are a ton of strategies from teaser campaigns that, offer these little glimpses of what's coming to building a pre-launch audience through email lists, social media. The key is giving people just enough to spark their curiosity without revealing everything at once.
So how do you find that sweet spot? Like, how do you know how much to hold back without losing people's interest completely?
That's where the art of storytelling comes in. Think about those really great movie trailers that give you a taste of the plot, introduce the characters, but leave you wanting more. You can do the same thing with your product launches.
So instead of just, shouting from the rooftops, "Hey, new product," we create a narrative around it, a story that gives people a reason to care, a reason to anticipate.
Precisely. Share your journey, the inspiration behind the product, maybe some behind-the-scenes glimpses of the development process. Make it personal, make it relatable, make it engaging.
I love that. It's like you're inviting people into your world, making them feel like they're part of something special. But with all this talk about building hype, I mean, how do we make sure we don't overpromise and underdeliver? How do we, manage those expectations and make sure the actual product lives up to all the buzz we've created?
That's a really, really important point, and one we should definitely discuss further. But first, a quick word from our sponsor.
This podcast is powered by Growth Suite. Growth Suite helps you to run smart discount campaigns on your store. Test it for free on your Shopify store. Just land on the Shopify App Store now and test it for free.
All right, let's dive back into that idea of managing expectations because it's critical when you're dealing with anticipation marketing.
Absolutely. So where do we start?
Well, I think one key is transparency. Don't oversell or make claims you can't back up. Focus on showcasing the genuine value that your product brings to the table, even if it's, not perfect for absolutely everyone.
So even when we're trying to generate all this excitement, honesty and authenticity are still super important.
Absolutely. Because ultimately you want to build trust with your audience. You don't want to, trick them into buying something that they'll regret later. And that trust, that's what turns anticipation into long-term loyalty.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, so besides just being upfront about things, what are some practical steps that we can take to manage expectations during that pre-launch phase?
Well, one thing you can do is involve your audience in the process. You could offer exclusive beta testing opportunities to your email list or run polls on social media to get feedback on different features or designs.
Oh, I like that. So you're not just, telling people what to be excited about, you're
Yeah.
actually involving them in shaping the final product.
Yeah. Exactly. It's turning the anticipation itself into a collaborative process. And it does a couple of really great things. One, it makes people feel more invested in the outcome, right? Because they've had a hand in it. And two, it gives you, the business owner, some really valuable insights that you can use to fine-tune your messaging and make sure that you're highlighting the aspects that people are, actually excited about.
It's like a win-win. Now, speaking of messaging, how do you adapt your anticipation strategies to different channels? Is there like a one-size-fits-all
Yeah.
approach,
Yeah.
or do you have to think about each platform differently?
No, definitely not one size fits all. Each platform has its own, nuances and best practices. For example, on social media, you might focus on short, like eye-catching visuals, teasers, maybe even use those countdown stickers and stories, to really drum up the excitement.
Right, right. But then on email, you could craft like a more detailed narrative, maybe offer behind-the-scenes content or early bird discounts to your subscribers. Right.
Exactly. It's all about, tailoring the message and the medium to the specific platform and the audience that you're trying to reach.
Makes total sense. And I imagine, influencer marketing probably played a big role in all this too, especially if you're trying to reach a new audience.
Yeah, you're spot on. Partnering with the right influencers who genuinely connect with your brand and your target market can be such a powerful way to build credibility and reach people who might not have discovered you otherwise. It's like word of mouth marketing, but on steroids.
So
Mm.
how do you find the right influencers? I mean, there are so many out there. Is it all about the number of followers they have?
Well, a large following is great, but honestly, it's more important to focus on alignment. Do their values, their aesthetic, do they match your brand? Does their audience, actually fit your target market? Because a smaller influencer with a highly engaged and relevant following can be far more impactful than a mega influencer with a broad but less interested audience. Yeah.
So it's really about quality over quantity, finding those authentic voices that can truly connect with your potential customers. Now, what about paid advertising? Can that play a role in this anticipation game as well?
Definitely. Paid ads, platforms like Google Ads, social media ads, they can be a really powerful way to amplify your message and reach a wider audience. And what's great about those platforms is you can target very specific demographics and interests, making sure that, that your teaser content is actually being seen by the right people.
So it's not just about, relying on those paid ads to create the excitement from scratch, but more about using them strategically to boost what you're already doing, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's about using them to reach those potential customers and then drive them to, your website, your social media pages, wherever you're, building that pre-launch buzz.
And speaking of your website, I mean, that's kind of your home base online, right?
Yeah.
So what role does the website play in all this anticipation building?
Your website it's like where the magic happens. It's where the anticipation turns into action. So create a dedicated coming soon page. Capture those emails, offer a sneak peek, maybe, even have a countdown timer.
Oh, I love a good counterfactor.
Right. It creates that sense of urgency, that excitement.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Okay, so we've got all these different tactics, all these different channels. It can feel a little bit overwhelming, Like
Yeah.
how do you keep track of it all, and how do you even know if it's actually working?
That's where measurement and optimization come in, and that's a whole other conversation we should probably have.
Okay, well, we'll definitely dive into that. But first, a quick word from our sponsor. This podcast is powered by Growth Suite. Growth Suite helps you to run smart discount campaigns on your store. Test it for free on your Shopify store. Just land on the Shopify App Store now and test it for free.
All right, so we were talking about measurement and optimization. Like, how do you actually know if your anticipation marketing is working? And honestly, it all comes down to data, tracking the right metrics.
Okay, so what kind of metrics should we be looking at?
Well, you want to see things like email signups going up, right?
Yeah.
Engagement on social media, likes, shares, comments, all that good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
If you're using wait lists, how many people are signing up? Are you getting pre-orders? Those are all really good indicators that your campaign is, actually resonating with people.
Gotcha. So if those numbers are going up, that's a good sign that our anticipation marketing is like doing its job, getting people excited.
Exactly. And don't forget about your website, too. Like, are people actually spending time on your coming soon page? Are they clicking on your teaser content? That kind of data is valuable, too.
So we're like playing detective, gathering clues to see if people are, actually hyped about what's coming. But what if the data is telling us that our campaign isn't, quite hitting the mark? Like, what do we do then?
Well, that's where optimization comes in. And it's important to remember that anticipation marketing, it's not like a set it and forget it kind of thing. It's an ongoing process. You've got to, constantly be testing and refining, using the data to make adjustments along the way.
Okay, so like what kind of adjustments are we talking about? Give me some examples.
Sure. So, maybe you're A/B testing different headlines or visuals, or maybe you're experimenting with different email subject lines to see what gets people to open those emails. It's really about, letting the data guide your decisions and making the campaign as effective as possible.
So it's all about learning and adapting as you go, using the data to make the campaign, even better.
Exactly. And as you gather more data, you can also start to, personalize your messaging even more. You can segment your audience, based on their interests, their engagement levels, and then tailor your content to speak directly to their needs and desires.
So you're saying we could create like a custom tailored anticipation experience for each individual?
In a way, yeah. That's kind of the holy grail of data-driven marketing. It's powerful stuff.
I mean, this is all pretty incredible. It seems like anticipation marketing is like way more than just, creating hype. It's really about like combining psychology, creativity, and data analysis.
You got it. It's about understanding how our brains work, crafting compelling stories, and then using data to, refine and personalize the experience. And when you do all of that right, it can be a really, really powerful way to build your brand, connect with your audience, and ultimately, drive those sales.
All right, so we've covered a lot of ground today, but before we wrap up this deep dive, is there like one key takeaway that you would leave our listeners with?
I think the biggest thing to remember is that anticipation is a really powerful emotion. It taps into some of our like deepest desires and motivations. And if you use it ethically and strategically, it can be such an effective tool for, building your brand and connecting with your audience on a deeper level.
So for anyone out there listening who is, got a product or service they're excited to launch, think about how you can build that anticipation, how you can get people just as thrilled about it as you are.
Absolutely. And if you're looking for a tool to help you, run those smart discount campaigns and really, really boost those e-commerce sales, be sure to check out Growth Suite. They're the ones who powered this insightful deep dive.
Yes, you can test it for free on your Shopify store. Just head to the Shopify App Store and and give it a try.
All right, thanks for tuning in, everyone. We'll catch you on the next deep dive into the fascinating world of e-commerce psychology.
This podcast was powered by Growth Suite. Growth Suite helps you to run smart discount campaigns on your store. Test it for free on your Shopify store. Just land on the Shopify App Store now and test it for free.
So, we've talked a lot about the what and the why of anticipation marketing, but let's get into the how now, like the practical strategies that businesses can use to actually implement this stuff.
Yeah, let's get tactical. I mean, we've laid the groundwork. We understand the psychology now. Let's talk about, putting it all into action.
All right, so one of the most effective strategies is running teaser campaigns. Giving people those little sneak peeks, those glimpses of what's coming without revealing the whole picture.
Like those movie trailers we were talking about earlier.
Exactly. You want to pique their curiosity.
Yeah.
Get them asking questions, leave them wanting more.
So it's all about creating that sense of mystery, that intrigue that makes people, eager to find out what's going on behind the curtain.
Precisely. And another key strategy is building a pre-launch audience. This could be through email lists, exclusive online communities, social media groups, whatever makes sense for your brand.
So it's about giving people a way to stay in the loop, to get those exclusive updates, those behind-the-scenes glimpses.
Yeah, and it also allows you to start nurturing those relationships early on, building that sense of community and excitement even before the product launches.
Oh, I like that. It's like you're creating a tribe of super fans who are all, counting down the days together.
Right. And as you're building that audience, don't underestimate the power of storytelling. Give people a narrative to connect with, characters to root for. Make it relatable. Make it human.
I mean, we're all suckers for a good story, right?
We are. It's hardwired into us, so use that to your advantage.
Yeah.
Share your journey, the inspiration behind the product, maybe some of the challenges you faced along the way.
Make them feel like they're part of the adventure, part of the process.
Exactly. And then, of course, you can leverage those classic marketing tactics like urgency and scarcity, limited time, offers countdown timers, exclusive pre-order bonuses, things like that.
But, we got to be careful with those, right?
Yeah.
We don't want to come across as, pushy or manipulative.
Absolutely. It's all about finding that balance, creating a genuine sense of urgency without, resorting to those sleazy, high-pressure tactics.
Right. It's about excitement,
Yeah.
not, anxiety.
Exactly. And one final strategy I want to mention is using interactive techniques. Get people involved, get them participating.
Oh, yeah, like contests, polls, maybe even beta testing opportunities.
Exactly. The more you can involve your audience, the more invested they'll become, and the more they'll anticipate that launch.
So it's not just about, broadcasting a message. It's about creating a two-way dialogue, a conversation.
Precisely. Anticipation marketing, it's not just a one-time thing. It's an ongoing process of building relationships, nurturing excitement, and creating a truly memorable experience for your customers.
This has been such an insightful deep dive. I mean, we've covered so much ground, from the psychology of anticipation to the practical strategies that businesses can use.
It's been a pleasure sharing this with you and hopefully with all our listeners out there.
And if you're looking for a tool to help you run those smart discount campaigns and boost your e-commerce sales, be sure to check out Growth Suite.
They're the ones who powered this deep dive.
Yeah. You can test it for free on your Shopify store. Just head over to the Shopify App Store and give it a try.
All right. Thanks again for listening, everyone. Until next time, happy anticipating.
This podcast was powered by Growth Suite. Growth Suite helps you to run smart discount campaigns on your store. Test it for free on your Shopify store. Just land on the Shopify App Store now and test it for free.